Appreciate you holding this hearing. I want to echo some of the concerns my friend from Tennessee just echoed about Binance. I do think it's curious that China has made the decision to basically take that kind of risk to ban crypto because of their at least risk-reward analysis. I got so many questions. I do think I know a lot of this started around Bitcoin. I still think, and I think Professor Allen, you may have touched on this in your testimony, the clunkiness of the technology behind Bitcoin. I mean, it could never go to scale no matter what. If you can only do 5 or 6 transactions per second, that is not a scalable tool. And obviously, at technology, at a power and environmental costs that just doesn't make sense to me. But I'm going to try to get as quick as I can in my 4 minutes. I'm going to start with Professor Allen and Mr. McKenzie. I sometimes worry that FTX is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure many of my colleagues have gone through all the bad things Bankman-Fried has done, and the graft, and the Ponzi schemes, and so forth. And I know Senator Haggerty already made comments about the Reuters story about Binance. I really worry. I mean, I know the original pitch was this is going to be a seamless ability to transact without currency risk, without timing risk. I can send my grandmother in Kenya, resources on Sunday in a way that's kind of error-free. Sitting where I do on the Intelligence Committee as chairman, we've seen virtually no examples of that kind of use case. I know, Mr. McKenzie, you've gone down to El Salvador where they tried to make that as the case. It just doesn't seem to be the case. Instead, we are seeing, at least at this date, and Senator Lemus has been a leader on this. I keep trying to have an open mind on the technology innovation, and I'm all in on technology innovation. But at least so far, from where I sit on the Intelligence Committee, I see an awful lot of illegal activity. I see drug deals. I see bad actors. I see ransomware criminals. And frankly, it's not even safe from them. Go back to the Colonial Pipeline issue where our government, when payment was made in crypto, was able to recover some of that. So I guess I'd start again with Professor Allen and Mr. McKenzie. Do you think FTX is a one-off, or is this the tip of the iceberg where we may be seeing a whole series of activities? And if you want to go ahead and I know it's been raised, but I don't think it in any detail, Alameda Research and some of the potential, I think we're only beginning to see the conflicts that were taking place there. But I'll start with Professor Allen and Mr. McKenzie.
I think we saw the tip of the iceberg a couple of months ago, and then this is sort of moving further down the iceberg, with the earlier rounds of Terra Luna and Celsius. The concern is that, that fraud is definitely being perpetuated, but that the whole industry itself is basically an asset class built out of nothing. It trades entirely based on people's belief that it can be worth something. But as he said, the technology has not worked for a payments mechanism. It's become a speculative instrument, but ultimately, as Mr. McKenzie said, it's a zero-sum game, and if people stop believing in it, then it all falls apart. So Mr. O'Leary has talked about how people, that regulation in the United States is the prize. That's exactly right. Without that regulation as the prize to legitimize crypto, there is nothing there, and it could all go to zero. And whilst that is very bad news for the people who've already invested, I think it's very good news for the rest of us because it's been kept out of the broader financial system, and we won't suffer the consequences from its broader failure.
Mr. McKenzie?
Thank you, Senator. Yes, I just want to echo what Professor Allen was saying. One of the many, many seemingly limitless ironies of cryptocurrency is that the supposedly decentralized nature of it it's in fact highly centralized. I know this. I wrote an article with my colleague Jacob Silverman for the Washington Post about Binance this spring. Binance is incredibly murky, but Binance, as Mr. O'Leary, as other senators have pointed out, Binance is in communication with FTX. They were an early investor in FTX. there was apparently there's a private Signal chat group entitled Exchange Coordination that CZ is on. Yes, this is publicly reported. I believe Mr. Bankman-Fried submitted it into the congressional record. If I'm not, yeah. And so they're all talking to each other. The crypto industry is actually really, really small amongst the people that count. In a zero-sum, strictly competitive game, there's winners and losers. In an unregulated zero-sum, strictly competitive game, you're either a scammer or a mark. If you don't know which one you are, you have a problem. Oh, do you want me to answer the remittances question? I'm sorry, sir.
Well, if you want to just touch on Alameda as well.
Sure. So Alameda is Tether's biggest client. That's according to reporting from Protos from last year. Supposedly, Alameda purchased, I believe, $36.7 billion worth of Tethers. Given Alameda, FTX's insolvency, I think one question might be, where'd the money come from?
Yeah. Let me just, I know my time, but Mr. O'Leary, I have a great respect for you as an entrepreneur. Spent a long time as an entrepreneur. I'm trying to sort this through as well. I get your point, but I guess what I'd raise for the chairman and the ranking member is, I'm still trying to wrestle with this in my mind, whether we need a crypto set of rules or whether we frankly, what are we, 14 years after Dodd-Frank, ought to take a bigger step backwards and realize we got this bright, shiny problem over here around crypto, but the amount of financial activity, if you look at the fact that over 50% of the mortgage origination now is outside the regulated banking sector. I've been a big advocate for fintech for a long time, but there are a whole series of lending entities out there, again, that have no regulatory protections around them at all, and nothing would be worse than doing a relatively good job. We may overdid in certain parts on Dodd-Frank, but put a structure around our regulated industry and suddenly see this huge escape of financial activity going outside any kind of regulatory envelope at all. I'm all for innovation, but Lord knows if crypto was suddenly followed by a whole series of fintech entities that were coming back saying, hey, I need my money back as well. I didn't get my lending that was taking place on this platform. We could have a problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Lummis.